Well, greetings, friends, and welcome to Begin by Praying. If you or someone you know is struggling with a drug addiction, you don't want to miss today's message. Stay tuned. Today, I want to introduce you to a man whose life is nothing less than a miracle from God. He has a powerful testimony about the healing work that Jesus Christ can do when you surrender your life to Him. This is Joey Moats. Joey refers to himself as the hope dealer. He once was a drug dealer, now he's the hope dealer. Joey, welcome to Begin by Praying, brother. Thank you for joining me here today. Joey has spent the better part of his life addicted to heroin and other drugs. And he was on a downward spiral, headed for death, and Jesus Christ intervened into his life. And now he goes around Central Ohio and beyond, telling his story to anyone who will listen, spreading a message of hope and salvation and healing from the chains of addiction. So I want you to hear his story. So Joey, why don't you go ahead and get started here? You started taking drugs at the age of 14.
Yeah, that's correct, man. But thank you for having me. So at 14, that's when I was introduced to drugs by a family member, and smoked my first joint at 14. And for me, I was able to escape from the reality of what was around me. I was abused as a child, and sexually, mentally, and physically. So for me, when I found that first joint, I was able to escape my feelings from whatever I was going through right into that joint, man. But that led to harder and harder and harder drugs until my life completely spiraled out of control.
So it's these issues from childhood of being molested and abused. And so many people go through this, and they try to hide it and mask the pain and the guilt and the shame of it with drugs.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
That's prevalent in this society.
So I thought at 16, I smoked weed every single day from 14 to 16, that I had a bright idea, fell in love with a girl, and to have my own family. Like, let me fix my childhood by having a kid. So we planned on having a kid. And by the time I was 18 years old, I had 2 kids. Now life is coming at me hard. And for me, being able to escape was always what I've tried to do, was escape. And weed wasn't working no more at all. So I went to pain pills at 18 years old. And they really got out of control by the time I was 21 years old, to where my ex-wife, she left me. And I knew how to be a husband and a dad, but I didn't know how to take care of myself. So my life really, at that point, turned dark. And I got introduced to cocaine and went down the cocaine road.
But eventually that wasn't even enough, so you turned to harder drugs.
I went to heroin, man. I sold pills. Had people go to Florida, do that whole Florida scene. And I would pay them to go, and they would come back and give me thousands of dollars worth of pills. So for me, I found a purpose in the drug game. It wasn't just the drugs no more. I had an identity as the dope boy, and that lifestyle gave me power. So I was addicted to the money, the drugs, and the power. It really took me over. And I would eat 30 Percocets at one time, trying to fulfill that void. And I got introduced to heroin by one of my brothers, man. And snorted it for about 6 months. And I would look at him, and he would be nodding out, just passing out. And I'm like, man, I don't want to feel this pain no more. I don't want to hurt like this no more. And at that point in my life, I was probably 25, 26 years old. I could see that it was my choices. And the shame and guilt came onto me. I wasn't a dad no more. I didn't have a job no more. the dope game was everything I knew, man. And my life just went crazy out of control. So that's when I started shooting up heroin. I swore that I would never, ever shoot up heroin because it was labeled on the streets like the dirty drug. But I justified that I could do it cleaner than somebody else. I would never share a needle or this or that. And
but in fact, it ended up devastating your body.
oh yeah, it completely destroyed my body all the way. I have marks all the way up my hands. I shot in my hands at first. It was easy to get a vein, and but then I would still go around people in society. I didn't want them to see my arms no more, so I started shooting up in my belly, in my legs, and I almost lost my leg shooting up heroin, man. But this is what it did to me. Check this out. That's what.
Oh my gosh.
That's what heroin did, man. But I didn't stop there. Wow. I would just put a bandage around it, and I just switched legs. Went to this leg. This one didn't get as bad. So that's when I decided to go to the hospital. And I had all these people around me every single day. I had 15, 20 people that fed my ego of that I was amazing man and I was cool and all this. But when I needed one thing, a ride to the hospital, I had to pay them in drugs just to have a friend, in a sense. I needed a favor. So I had to pay one of them two bags of heroin to give me a ride from Circleville to Columbus. And I get into the hospital there, and they asked me what happened. And of course, I tried to play stupid. I think I got bit by a spider, and I have marks all the way up my arms and my legs. And they told me they was going to have to amputate my right leg. And that was the first time in my life I can remember crying out to God. And I was on the way to surgery, and I begged them doctors, like, can you please keep my leg? They said, well, we got to go down to where there's good tissue, and by the x-rays, it don't look like there's no good tissue, so we might. I said, can you take it to where there's just a little bit of, it's half rotted, then give me some antibiotics so I can keep my leg? And they said they might have to take it. So I really cried out to God, like, God, let me keep my leg. That was my last resort. I had nothing else. So I woke up from surgery and had my right leg. I did not even say, thank you, God. It was still all about me at that point. It wasn't nothing else. And this whole time I was trying to manipulate the doctors for more pain pills because I still dealt with my pain through drugs, and I'm in a place where I can get some of the best drugs out there, the hospital. Oh, I still can feel the pain today from how bad it hurt. I came off that bed crying. I was on a morphine pump, and I would wake up, and that light would be green. I would be mad, because every 10 minutes I could hit this light, and that would give me my morphine. I would wake up mad. How long was I asleep? I could have had that morphine in my body. So I had a brilliant idea. I'm going to tape a button down. I'm going to tape that, put 2/4 of this button, and tape it down. So every 10 minutes, it could directly go into me. I wouldn't miss 1 second. Well, that overdosed me. And then the nurses had to come in and bring me back to life, They found me laying there with 8% oxygen, and I totally tripped out. I woke up, and I saw this big bright light, and I was like, I see Jesus. But it was just a hospital light shining right in my face, and I'm puking from the Narcan to where they brought me back. I'm tripping out. I felt like I had an out-of-body experience. I didn't know what was going on. I was going crazy. Well, this nurse calms me down, and she tells me, God's got a plan for your life. He brought you back. You got your leg. And I was like, this lady's a whack job. That's what I thought. But she was the only person that looked me in the eyes and didn't see a devil, see a drug addict. She saw me.
She saw hope?
Yeah. And she spoke that hope into me. I didn't receive it then, but I always thought about it.
Well, thank you for joining us here today on BBP. I hope Joey's message is touching your hearts. Come back next week to hear the conclusion of this story. It's going to blow you away. This guy is just on fire for the Lord, and he's going to tell you about it next week, right here on BBP. I hope you join us. We'll see you then.